Hi guys, welcome back to Geeks Wargaming. I have a showcase video for you today. So this is part 2 of my Panzer build. This is the Panzer IV. You've already seen that I did the build along video with this. I was actually planning on building the Sherman straight after, and then painting this up and then painting the Sherman up, but I just sort of, because I'd not done anything like this, I was really keen to actually get stuck into it. Yeah, here's the finished result in front of you. Pretty happy with how it's came out. I've used a lot of techniques that I haven't used before. Went onto YouTube, as we all do, and looked at a few tutorials. Found some great new YouTube channels to do with sort of scale modelling. So there's one called Plasmo. He is insanely good. Just the way that he does everything. So picked up a lot of tips and techniques from him. And there's also one called, I think it's Andy's Hobby Store, something like that. Another great channel, good tutorials on there. So anyway, this is the finished result, and I'll just talk you through how I achieved this. The camera is actually making it look more yellow than it actually is. I just can't seem to get the lighting right on it. So the base colour for this is actually, I used the Army Painter. It's just one of their spray cans. I think it's Desert Yellow or something like that, and it comes out, you know, quite a nice desert colour, obviously. So I just sprayed that all over it. Then I actually dry brushed, I think it was with one of the bone colours, the Games Workshop one, so bleach bone, I believe. And then I gave it a light wash of the sepia, the Games Workshop sepia colour, just to sort of pick out some of those recesses. I then moved on to the camouflage pattern. I've used, I went on the internet because I don't really know anything about sort of camouflage patterns and things like that, so I was a little bit unsure how exactly to do it. I want this to be reasonably accurate, but it's not, you know, it's not a historical piece. It's a gaming piece after all. But I wanted it to look, you know, fairly relevant to sort of late war. So I found just some images online, and this is a Waffen SS Panzer IV, and I followed the camouflage pattern that I just saw on the internet, and you know, I think I've done a fairly decent job. So the colours that I used for this, something completely new to me. I've never used these paints before, so I'll just bring those in. And I used Tamiya, or Tamiya, or I think it's Tamiya. We always pronounce things wrong on this channel, you know that. And this is the XF62, the olive drab, so I'm going to use this on the Sherman as well, I think. And then we've got the XF64, the red brown, and yeah, that was just the camouflage. These actually are quite different to the acrylics that you get from Games Workshop. They sort of flow a little bit more. They're a little bit more watered down, but they kind of take a little bit longer to dry. So if you're not careful, you can get some streaking in it. I think if you just put some thinners in it, though, that should help prevent anything like that. But yeah, I was quite happy with how these paints worked, actually. As I said, never used them before. So after putting the camouflage pattern down, I then decided to start chipping it up. I kind of followed the process that I've seen on these other videos. So it seems after you've done the camouflage, then start doing the chipping. So this is just some sponge chipping. There's some sponge chipping with some dark brown colours, and there's some greys in here as well. You can't really see it on the camera. Maybe you can. So yeah, just around the edges, everything battered up a little bit. Yeah, so just giving it a sort of a war-torn feel, really. Yep. So yeah, that was that. And then after that, I went into the weathering. I guess you could have left it at that stage if you wanted your model to look sort of clean and more like a gaming piece. But I just really had the bug to actually try some of this weathering that I'd learned all about. So I also used my airbrush for the first time on this to put some of these lines down, just sort of a rough line, and then I went over with the brush on it. But mainly to prepare the surface for the weathering, you need to use some gloss varnishes and things like that. So I went down to Hobbycraft and I picked up one of these Humbrol Clear. Again, good channel, good YouTube channel. It doesn't look like they've done anything for about 3 or 4 years, which looks like that was when these products first hit the market. But there's a whole range of these products. So there's like a map. I'll show you in a second. There's a whole range of these, and they've done tutorials on how to use them. So I just went and picked up a load of the Humbrol products and followed their guides, and yeah, it came out really nicely. So this one, once I'd got all the chipping and everything, I sprayed it so it gives it the really sort of glossy finish, and then it makes it easy for all your transfers to adhere to, and also any sort of weathering powders and anything else. So yeah, I put the transfers on, and I used some of their decal fix for that. So if you look at these transfers, you can't even tell. There's very small sort of edges to them, so really help to sort of blend those in. So really happy with how that came out. So then after putting the transfers on, I went for some slightly heavier weathering, and I picked myself up some AK products. So I got myself some AK Streaking Grime, and basically what you do with this is you sort of paint it and then just sort of streak it down roughly. So I did it in sort of all the panel lines. I did it sort of, at the top wherever you think that grime would gather. So around these rivets and places like that. Just put it all over the place, and then you come in with your paintbrush, and I picked up this odorless thinner. So this is basically, I think it's pretty much white spirit, but it just doesn't smell. I hate the smell of white spirit, so it gets on your hands and it's absolutely disgusting. This has got hardly any fragrance to it at all, hence the name odorless thinners. So if you don't like using white spirit, this does exactly the same job, and it doesn't stink your house out. So yeah, great, definitely get yourself one of these. So yeah, just dab your brush in that, and then you just sort of go back to the area and then just sort of pull it down, and it leaves sort of the streaky sort of film all over it. So again, the camera's not really picking it up that much, but there is some sort of grimy streaks. You might be able to see them on the front there a little bit better, just in some of the recesses. No, I don't think it's really coming out, but yeah. So again, really happy with how that product worked. You could probably go a bit heavier than what I did. I wasn't really sure how I wanted it, so I just sort of had a bit of a play around with it and probably took most of it off. That's probably why it's not coming up on the camera too well. Yeah, so then after that, you've got all your streaking grime down, and everything's all sort of almost weathered. And then I went on to this mud effect that you see, and this is actually using some MIG pigments. So just bring in what I've used there. Okay, so I bought this set, the Sand and Earth set. So this comes with quite a few different colours. So there's like a brick colour, there's a sandy colour, there's a couple of mud colours, things like that. So what I tried to do is you get sort of the little piles of dust on like a little plate, mix them in, so it's not uniform in the colour, and then I got some of the decal fix again, mix that all in, and that actually makes it quite adhesive. So you first of all paint it on the area that you want it to, and then you sort of just dab it on. If you want to actually make the mud thicker, like I have around the track area, you can actually just sort of put the powder in there, and then just put some of this decal fix back over the top of it, and it actually builds it up. It gives it some volume. So I've done that again around the bottom of the shirts, and you can maybe see it's like a little bit muddy just at this top edge here and round the bottom edge. But yeah, just sort of built in lots of different colours, so you can see it quite clearly here. So there's different patches of mud, so it doesn't look too uniform there, and the same on the sides. So it looks like, you know, there's been some mud that's had a chance to dry and some slightly more wet. How I achieved that look where it's slightly more wet is after I'd finished the entire model, I went over it with a matte coat, again, Humbrol product. So just through the airbrush, matte coated the entire model, bringing it back down to what you see now, and then I just went over some of the areas with a little bit of gloss varnish. Just painted that in to make it look like some of the tracks are a little bit oily, a little bit greasy, a little bit wet mud, and mixed it in up here. So it looks like it's sort of various shades of mud drying. Yeah, and then that was it. That is that's the model complete. Got a bit of dust on it there. That's the model complete. Really enjoyed doing that. If you haven't ever tackled anything like this before, great fun. Completely different to anything that you'll do Games Workshop wise. Lots of different products, lots of different techniques. I'm not actually the biggest fan of painting, believe it or believe it not. I kind of paint stuff because I like to play with painted models and I like to play the game, so I kind of force myself to paint. But this, I've really enjoyed painting. So yeah, definitely can't wait to do the Sherman. So yeah, that one's all finished now. So the plan is obviously to get some more Bolt Action battle reports up on the channel for you. I think the next time that you'll see a Bolt Action battle report is when I've finished the Sherman as well. So we'll have this and the Sherman. I've got some Waffen SS and some US Airborne to do as well. It's just getting the time to do it. I've got so many other projects on, so we're just trying to build it up slowly but surely. So yeah, that's it, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Any other tips or techniques that you can give me that you know, that would really help. Any other products that you think I should try out. I'm always looking for new things to use when it comes down to this type of project. So yeah, let me know what you think below. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit the notification button, and then you won't miss any of the new content, the Sherman and any Bolt Action battle reports coming up. And hopefully you liked the video, so if you did, click like down below, and we'll see you in the next one.